In World War I, Japan joined the Allies, but did not play a major role in fighting German forces. At the Paris Peace Conference in 1919, Japan proposed a racial equality clause. Sadly for Japan, the clause was rejected by members of the League of Nations. The nations that rejected the clause included the US, Britain, and Australia. Arrogance and racial discrimination towards the Japanese had corrupted relations with Western countries. This was one of the causes of why Japan wanted superiority. The Exclusion Act made by the US prohibited further immigration from Japan. Now Japan became more strongly imperialistic, wanting to conquer over other countries in order to gain control. In 1931, Japan had almost complete control over Manchuria due to the influence of the Russo-Japanese War in 1904 and 1905. They then took over Manchuria. Here is a clip from a documentary that tells you about Japan taking over Manchuria and other Western countries and the difficulties they had afterwards.
Ever since Japanese troops had overrun Manchuria in 1931 and turned it into the puppet state of Manchu Kuo, there had been concern in the West over Japanese expansionism. This had increased in 1937, when the Japanese launched an all-out assault on China. But the Western powers were not prepared to risk war with Japan. This was even though Western warships like the American gunboat Panay were bombed by Japanese aircraft. Yet Japan did apologize for this act. She did so because she had a major weakness, which the West threatened to exploit. This was a grave lack of natural resources. Japan was heavily reliant on imports of tin, oil, rubber, and other essential raw materials. She therefore dare not provoke the West too much.
After this, Japan in 1933 withdrew from the League of Nations. In July of 1937, the Second Sino-Japanese War broke out due to a small incident of the Kuomintang Army which occupied Manchuria. The result of this war was Japan occupying almost all of China's coast, even though China never surrendered completely. Later, in 1940, Japan occupied Vietnam upon the agreement with the French government. Japan then joined the Axis powers with Germany and Italy. The United States then stopped supplying Japan with oil. Japan then succeeded in capturing the oil-rich Dutch East Indies and started a war with Great Britain. Then, in December 1941, Japan attacks Pearl Harbor. The leader of Japan during World War II was Emperor Hirohito. Emperor Hirohito ruled a parliamentary democracy with a constitutional monarchy. Japanese people believed that they were the chosen people of God. Also during World War II, Japanese people believed that they were racially pure. They also believed that honor was the most important thing in life, and that the most honorable thing a man can do is dying a glorious death for the emperor in the military. One of Japan's ideas for masculinity would be the refusal for surrender, preferring death to the dishonor of the emperor. The Japanese believed that men who surrendered to be taken as prisoner did not deserve to be treated as men. When the Japanese had taken prisoners, they no longer thought about them as human, but as an emotionally disturbing experience. Here is a clip of a movie I found. Japanese soldiers taking their lives for the honor of the emperor instead of being taken prisoner.
私は栗林閣下が足立大佐に退却の命令をしている。退却など卑怯者のすることだ。それ！いいか。我らは陛下の栄えある皇軍である。そのことを忘れてはならん。残された道はただ 潔い死に様である。これが定めと靖国に御霊となって帰ること。靖国で会おう。天皇陛下万歳万歳万歳万歳万歳万歳諸君さらばだ。
Okay, obviously you know what happens next. Every soldier grabs a grenade and blows themselves up. I didn't want to show that part since I'm showing this in school, it might be a little inappropriate. Anyways, since Japan thought they were a dominant Asian race, they were not afraid to teach their children about the concept of racial supremacy in order to prepare for war. This idea of racial dominance and purity would eventually grow more stronger and more terrifying. The Japanese people believed Americans were a direct threat to Japanese purity and to themselves being chosen from God. Both the ideas of protecting the so-called divine race and the honor for dying in warfare for the emperor was a dangerous recipe for brutal warfare between imperial troops of Japan and the Marines of America. I found a TV series called The Pacific, the same people who made the Band of Brothers. The Pacific shows the Japanese and Americans fighting against each other in the Pacific after Pearl Harbor. Here's a clip.